There's a lot of them in this game. And looks like we're starting.
Everything that lives is designed to end. We are perpetually trapped.
Yeah, so in this race, Tektheist is going to be on PS4, whereas Littz is on PC.
Yes.
I'm not sure which timer is being shown right now. I didn't notice that was loaded.
It should be the RTA.
Yeah, it should be RTA. I'm
So,
not positive, but we'll see.
Yeah.
The loadless timing, as far as PS4 goes, we just manually time the loads out.
Yes.
Before leaderboards. So
yes, we have
it's
a
level
very.
playing field.
We have one member of our community sits down and times every PS4 run on the leaderboards for loadless time.
Unfortunately, it's not too bad. Fortunately, it doesn't take too long. It doesn't take as long as most people think.
Yeah. I mean, optionally, you watch the runs anyways before you verify them, so...
Yeah, it only adds about
it's
10-15 minutes.
It's actually no extra time if you watch the entire run to have a timer to stop it. So, back to the race. We have both of them in the prologue right now in the first shoot 'em up section of the game, which is pretty boring. Yeah, they're just flying through there and trying to shoot every enemy that spawns as fast as possible.
Yeah, it's for the most part this section is timed. There is a little bit of influence based on how quickly you can clear the waves, as each wave will spawn, each new wave will spawn after the original wave is done.
Yes.
Ooh, it looks like Tech's going for the second AI manip here. See if he gets it. Oh, looks like he got it. Nice.
So you don't have to kill most of these waves. If you take too long, the enemies will just fly away and despawn, which also progresses the fight, but it's way slower than killing them.
Yeah, I believe each time you have to wait for a despawn, it's around 3 to 4 seconds.
Yes, it's horrible.
There's a little bit of difference here. It looks like the AI for Littz actually took some of his kills there, because he's still level 1.
Yes, which isn't too bad.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't make too much of a difference, regardless of what level you are at this point. Level 19 at least is pretty much free, just from doing the mandatory fights. It's possible to hit 20, depending on which skips they opt to go for. It's easy or hard. I believe Littz actually does the Mook's room fight, so he should have level 20 regardless.
Yes, so yeah, with the normal routing, reaching level 20 is pretty easy. There's some skips we have that only save a very small amount of time, but they lose a ton of experience. So the mentioned Mook's room skip is one of them, and yeah, that's why some people do it, some people don't.
Yeah.
Like a bit of extra time at the cost of
I'm aware of that.
Getting level 20 in time.
So now here we're in the more the non-flight unit segments. Most of the gameplay will be like this. We'll see both runners using basically the same attack just over and over again for the entire run. For some reason, if you do a dash into a heavy attack with a short sword in the heavy slot, the game decides, oh, I'm going to output 5 times damage. Not sure why that happens, but obviously more damage is a good thing.
Is that on
Yes.
target?
Negative. This enemy is unrelated. Proposal. Dispatch it as swiftly as possible.
You don't say.
For Marks 1, this first fight, there's a damage threshold where you will get a call from the operator, and so basically the goal of this fight is just get Marks to the damage threshold as quick as possible.
Yes.
So you're
After
basically
that-
just going to use melee buff
Yes.
to double your attack.
Yes, after you hit that threshold and get the call, it's basically waiting for the call to finish. You need to remove the last bit of health in time while the dialogue is running, but doing that is actually pretty easy because the dialogue is way too long for actually having to have having some health left after the dialogue finishes. Really rare.
Do it.
That was interesting there. Don't think I've seen Tech struggle with Crane like that before.
Nearby enemies are jammed.
Yeah, Crane is pretty easy once you have the movement down, but sometimes it just trolls you anyway.
So the strategy here in this silo is these flyers can be really annoying. They tend to like to spread out a lot. Using the lock-on, actually, I've found, at least personally, the lock-on is bad. Just using your free aim, trying to group them together and hit as many as possible with your pod program is the ideal way.
Yeah, so they can be in a line and you can laser like 4 of them, or they can be nice and you can only laser 2, or maybe not. Sometimes not even that.
Emotions are prohibited.
Yeah, so that-
Also, sometimes they like to line up and you laser and then
It's unnecessary.
they move out of the way after
Yep.
you press the laser button.
Yep.
Or they just dodge it. I mean, dodging enemies dodging your attacks is a thing in this game. We will see it on that laser just now.
I know.
That laser that lasers the split group, it actually can kill all of them, or it can kill none of them, entirely depending on RNG.
Yeah. Yeah, the prologue's kind
Also-
of a really dense section for skips. We kind of skipped completely over a couple of them. There's
Yeah.
the out of bounds by the lava, and then there's that very high jump to get on top of the bridge. Basically, that'll skip a pretty long zigzag to go around. Prologue is typically the spot that I recommend any new runners to learn. Learning the prologue section, a lot of what's in the prologue will translate to the rest of the game. The tech is used
Yes.
basically throughout the entire run.
Yes. Most of the skips in this game is exploiting the developer given movement techniques we have, like combo attacks, lift, aerial movement. There's a lot of stuff in this game, and we exploit that and chain it all together to get the maximum height or maximum distance or whatever we need in given instance.
I wouldn't
So-
think of that.
Once you have like some of the most important skips, like bridge skip in Prologue, which we saw before, you basically know the movement for all of the skips. At least the basics for it.
Right. Yeah, if you can get the high jump to get bridge skip, any of the other high jump related skips come pretty easily.
Yes.
Bridge is a pretty tight timing window.
Littz is having some trouble with. He had some trouble in Silo 3 and is also having some trouble with the Marks II fight now.
Marks can be pretty unforgiving if you mess up even a single damage glitch. There are ways to do it. Tech did pretty well with it, where you can time your damage glitches and place them properly so that Marks will actually run into them.
Yes, you can do that, but that's insanely difficult.
Yeah, it takes a lot of practice to get it down. Not being able to get Marks to the damage threshold and the initial attack phase is significantly slower.
Yeah.
Most runners will opt to just use attack buffs if they don't feel like they're going to get it.
Yes, so Marks II, you really want to finish him in a one cycle, and if you're not able to hit those early attacks the right way, then just use attack buffs, and menuing for those is still faster than not getting the one cycle.
I'm going to destroy.
Right. I'll provide support.
This fight, Engels, after that cutscene, Engels has a couple different attacks he can choose. I believe it's 5 different attacks, 5 or 6 attacks.
I think it's some more.
Maybe, I can't remember. He has a lot of ranged attacks.
It's at least 6.
Yeah. It looks like they both got good attack pattern here.
Yes.
Anything ranged will be your optimal time here. If Engels decides to swing both of his hands towards the center, you lose 3 seconds, and if he decides to do a multiple punch pattern, then you lose around 25.
Yeah, 20 to 25.
Fortunately, such a big time loss is so early in the run, it's typically just a reset point at that.
Yes, but of course, reset is not an option in a race, so...
Yep.
Good for both of them to get a decent pattern, and Tech actually jumped off the pipe, it seems.
9S black box signal detected.
Now Tech is coming up on the first iteration of a double lift. You can kind of trick the game into thinking that you're still on the ground. Typically you only get 1 lift per combo, but if you do a lift into an upward slope, you can kind of trick the game into thinking you never actually left the ground, which allows you to do 2 lifts in a row.
Yes.
It's a lot of height gain.
Technically, it doesn't even have to be a slope. It works with any, as long as you lift towards a higher ground. So you can, in theory, you can lift off of chests, or in Soulbox, which is way later in the game, and you won't see it here, but there actually is a skip where you lift off of a guardrail. So double lift off of a guardrail. So it doesn't have to be a slope, but on slopes they're way easier. So Tech is on the last phase of the boss now, back in the flight unit, and Littz just started that phase as well.
Yeah, it's a dialogue-based fight. You have to wait for the dialogue to get to a specific part to progress. At that point, what attack angle or what attack pattern that Engels gives you can lose or gain any time. Looks like Tech got a pretty good pattern here, only having to wait about 2 or 3 seconds before the scripted pushback.
Yes, if even that, I'm not sure if it even was that much, so he got pretty good RNG. Basically, the problem we speedrunners have with this phase is the entire attack pattern. So, as Marbles mentioned, we have to wait for a dialogue to finish because we can go on, but the entire attack pattern that Engels does is completely random. So the first attack that Engels does after the dialogue finishes progresses the story. But depending on how good or bad your RNG was, that can align better or to the better or to the worse in regards of if he is still in an animation when the dialogue finishes. So we have to wait for that animation to finish before he can start a new attack, which then will only progress the story.
I'm kind of curious to see here if Littz can get the double hit here. He's probably the most consistent one at getting it. There is a little frame window. Well, not quite. There is a frame window where if you push a heavy, basically just as you're dashing, you can actually hit angles twice with a single punch. And Littz has been probably the most consistent at getting it. So it's always interesting to see. I believe it was around like a 4 to 5 frame window.
Yeah, I don't actually know how to trigger that consistently. I got it twice, I think, but I have no idea how to trigger it. And I'm not sure if anyone really knows how that works.
Yeah. That menu is deceptively hard to do fast.
Yes.
Tech looked pretty good. That self-destruct gets a lot of people. It's a really quick dialogue there.
Yes. So the thing is, you want to match your dialogue as fast as possible, while still getting not excellently choosing some wrong menu options. So
right.
I often even choose to not do optimal dialogue matching there, just so that I get through dialogue slower, but then I definitely get the menu right. So, which saves me a good bunch of time.
The surface?
Yeah, it looks like that's Litz's kind of approach.
Usually we can't get near flight units. They're way too expensive for us grunts. Too bad they can't mass produce these things yet. The hangar's up ahead.
Oh no.
Let's go.
Tech is complaining in chat. I'm not sure which glitch he's talking about.
Oh, can't skip cutscene maybe? Fortunately, that one's not a big deal. But we'll see if it comes into play at some of the later cutscenes. Some of the cutscenes tend to be pretty long. This game is kind of weird sometimes, where it just decides, no, you're not allowed to skip this cutscene. Which in a speedrun setting, obviously a bad thing.
So yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if it clears up or goes away by especially the desert section.
Okay,
go ahead.
Tech says he won't be able to skip his cutscene after Adam Pit. And I don't know if you can actually say that at this point. I mean, I don't know anything about this. I never had this glitch myself, luckily.
The game can decide to kind of just not let you skip specific ones and then allow you to skip them again. At least from my experience. There's been points where I've been unable to skip 1 or 2 in a row, and then after that it's fine. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't remember getting the same glitch on PS4, so it may be different. But I know my experience on PC is it just kind of chooses. Oh boy, Littz over here with both of them spinning here. That's the worst.
Yeah,
attack.
that's the worst attack, especially since with that attack they block all the pod program missiles, which deal most of the damage. Like basically, you can kill one of those spinners with half a pod program.
According to our intel,
And well, if they do the spinning attack, that pod program does not do any damage at all. Yeah, so
it's pretty weird.
Let's hope the cutscene thing won't bother text too much.
There it is. Yep. Just, I don't know why it does that, but sometimes it just decides certain cutscenes you're not allowed to skip.
should probably go talk to the
Yes.
leader first thing.
Yeah. Yeah, the only thing that confused me is because he apparently already knows that he won't be able to skip after Adam.
Yeah, that's the big one. That and after Viavor as well. They both have really long cutscenes after them.
This must
So,
have been
yeah.
quite a city once
Yeah,
upon
one
a
of the
time.
things that I
Too bad vegetation's
always like to
cleaned most of it
mention
now.
during these runs is that, like, the movement tech and the way skips are executed. The coolest thing about it to me is how much variance you
This
see
is
between the
2B.
runners.
Nothing to report.
There's many ways to do the same thing. So some of the runners will do other things just because they feel more comfortable with it, and that's completely fine. Whatever gets the job done.
Feeling nice has no bearing on
Yeah, so basically all the movement stuff in this game only the fastest movement and stuff is only fastest if you are able to execute it perfectly. So, for example, the dash punches that you can see on Litz's side right now, if you're not confident with them, then just do only dashes and it will be faster than dash punches with messed up punches.
Right.
Okay, that's everything the supply trader asked for.
Basically what the runners are doing here is these are just required fetch quests in order to progress the story. They're the only fetch quests that will be included in this run, solely because they're mandatory.
This basically is the introduction into side quests, and because it's the introduction side quests, you cannot skip them. But we won't do any other side quests. Also, we should mention again, since it came up in chat, Tech does not have a timer on his side, since he's running on PS4 and he's streaming with PS4, which makes him unable to include a timer on his stream. But this race is a RTA race, so we're timing the real time and not the loadless time like we do for PC races, which means that the timer on Litz's side is the same as it would be for Tech, so that's one timer for both of
I
them.
believe I saw loads being taken out on it, which it's fine.
did?
We have a way to get RTA time for
Yes, we will see it on Litz's stream, but I thought they were not. Let's remember that and look for it at SafeScum, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, PS4 has pretty significantly longer load times, which is the main reason we opted to switch over. I'm trying to remember when we made that switch, but we switched over from RTA time to loadless timing. PC has access to the auto splitter, which will read the loads on its own and take them out. As far as PS4, we just have to manually time them out. We're heading into the desert here. That's the first buy of the run. There'll be 2 buys in the entire run. Basically, we're picking up a sachet, which makes it so animals will not run away from you. 1 animal bait, 11 of each attack buff. They'll double your attack for 15 seconds because they're the small ones. Yeah, there should be 15 because they're the small ones first. And then
I think
the
it
rest
was
of
30 and
just recoveries.
60, but I don't remember. Yes, and it is the loadless timer on Litz's side. I just double checked with his stream.
There's gotta be an easier way, right?
So that got mixed up again.
Yes,
It's
for
not too bad.
Tech actually didn't save there because he had actually timed it earlier this week. And as far as it goes for
This sand sure is
PS4 in an RTA race, it's actually faster to not do the save scum.
Yeah.
So he actually does, he just does, he'll do the out of bounds with the box, and then he just runs out of bounds instead.
Is
Yeah.
These slides, they look really cool, and they look really fun, but when you speedrun the game, you realize that these slides are terrible. They never work how you want them to.
Well, as long as they put you in the direction you want to go.
Yeah, it's true, but
they're fast, but only then.
yeah, sometimes the slides just decide not to give you any momentum. Ooh, Littz is going for this. Nice. I don't think he typically does. Basically, that out of bounds skips you around. Skips you around having to wait for the call dialogue. What is he doing?
So I'm not sure.
Oh, I
what
think
Littz is doing now.
I think he thought that he missed the trigger, but the trigger's actually farther up.
It is the ruin of a former human residential area.
You should get the trigger
Numbers of
right
humans
around
resided in such
the
concrete
second
and
turn
metal
here.
shelters.
Right around
The
up
structures
here, you
were
should get
referred
it.
to by names such as
Yeah.
apartment complex.
Yeah, there it is.
I'm not sure what he got confused there, but
I think he saw the trigger on back on the other side of the barricade and thought he had to get that.
yeah. Yeah, this game sometimes is pretty weird.
I mean, most games are when you're breaking it like we are. Oh boy.
Yes.
Tech had a little bit of
Oh.
issues there on the housing skip.
Oh.
It'll be interesting to see if he can get this recovery. And that's not gonna work. I'm not sure if he knows this recovery.
Oh, from the bottom will
Yeah,
be
he missed
difficult.
he missed the. So there's two triggers you have to get here. There's a trigger in the tunnels that you would normally get when chasing the robot in the normal route, and then there's a trigger on the platform, which does not load in if you missed the first one. He was in the right spot, but he had to do a long jump to clear that gap in order to make it back to get the first trigger.
Yeah, so he missed the first one of both of them.
I'm not sure if he knows his recovery.
I don't think so.
To be fair, I don't know this recovery either.
I don't know it either, so I cannot tell if he does.
Yeah.
But I think he found something.
Yeah. He has to clear this whole gap, which that's an invisible floor there.
And not solid floor, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he
Ooh.
yeah, he now is asking in chat, and the problem is at this point, if you get stuck down there, either you know the backup strap, which is very slow and very difficult, and I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, he needs to do a light hold with the weapon set 1, and then do 2 pod spins. Downward heavy dash, I believe it is. But yeah, he needs to get up there. There's no other way, I believe, other than the way that it was.
I think he really needs to get back up there.
Yeah, missing that first trigger can be very, very, very bad.
So yeah, the problem is if he does not get this backup strat, he needs to reload his last save. And since he didn't save for save scum, I don't think he even has
a save. Yeah, he would have to.
He doesn't actually have a save, so he would have to restart the race, which at this point would lose him 30 minutes. So basically, if he does not get this backup strat, he definitely loses the race.
Yeah, it looks like, and Littz is going for the normal route. So this is the trigger that Tech missed. We usually can get this one from out of bounds.
Yes, long jump into that trigger
that
and
one.
then... And then on Litz's screen, this is the platform we were talking about where the other trigger is.
So here what Littz is doing is he's going to switch his weapon set 1 to be identical to his weapon set 2, which is Bare Fist on your light attack and Short Sword on your heavy attack. What this allows you to do is to throw out a damage glitch, swap your weapon set to your other one, which is also the same thing, and throw out another damage glitch, which would allow for 2 of the swords to be spinning at the same time, both of which that are dealing 5 times damage.
Yes.
Very fast.
Yeah, that makes that deals some insane damage, and that's what makes all the
Oh, up there he
combat.
goes. Good.
And he got it.
Good.
So he's back in the race. That mess up did put him behind Littz
Yes.
from being
That's a tough break.
a couple of minutes ahead, I think.
Yep.
So it is really bad, really bad, but it is better than not getting it.
It's better than losing 30 minutes.
Yeah, better than having to reset, so, or forfeiting the race only a third in. So, and he's not that much behind. I mean, this is the only the fight in the pit, so I don't know, maybe a minute at maximum, I guess.
Yep. So this is the healthy baby boy. Probably the first and second most hated fight of all the runners. Arguably the worst. In my opinion, it's the worst, but you know, it's at least it's short.
Yes.
There's a couple phases here. First phase, you're just kind of trying to do a little bit of damage to him. And if you can get him to level 5, because he levels up as he fights you. If you get him to level 5 very quickly, you can skip a very short cutscene. It saves a couple seconds there.
Yes.
It's not a required thing, like every skip in this game, but it is a nice little
thing.
time save.
Especially since it also skips one of the phases of the fight, which is not difficult to do, but it's kind of annoying because that cutscene that we skip is where he learns how to block attacks. So we rather want to deal damage when he does not yet learn how to has not learned how to block instead of when after he learned it. So that's why getting that skip is really nice, but definitely is not necessary.
Yeah, and it looks like Tech got the cutscene skip there.
Yes, he did, and so while Tech now is fighting Adam, Littz is making his way out of the desert, coming up to the safe scum. Maybe, I'm not sure.
Looks
Okay,
like
apparently not.
Yeah.
He doesn't do that.
It's fair. It's fair. I mean, as far as
It's
RTA
totally
goes,
okay.
because he knows this is an RTA race, it's probably
Yes.
about the same. So
Yes, it still is a little bit faster,
yeah,
but not as much as it's faster in-game time, and it is not easy. And
Yeah.
Understood. Ready to receive.
Littz has not run this game for very long, so he's not very comfortable with some of the more difficult skips. So I really cannot blame him for not trying, especially since if he messes it up, it has the potential of lose a bunch of time.
No.
Yep. I know Tech Tech will show off the out of bounds section, but he's not going to be doing the save warp. So you'll kind of get an idea what it would normally look like as far as like a PC runner versus a PC runner.
That were on their way to the surface. Their black boxes are online, so we presume they're still alive. We've tracked the location of their signals, so I need all your units on the surface to head over and investigate. End transmission.
I heard something about that.
So yeah, and there you can see it. It takes a couple of time, and then in this out of bounds sections, there's a lot of invisible ground. If you don't know where the ground is solid, you will fall down and lose a bunch of time.
Maybe we can get through from underground.
Yep, that's each void out will probably takes around 5 to 6 seconds. So
yeah, so the thing is, if you void out twice or something like that, it's not worth it anymore.
There's no point trying to work out unsolvable problems.
I suppose.
So you could have just gone the normal way that Littz did, and that actually is true with a lot of skips in this game. So if you know how to do it, then do it. But if you don't, it might not be worth it if you take too many tries.
Right. Littz is coming into the amusement park. I don't believe he goes for Let's Play skip.
No.
I've seen him practicing it, but I don't think he really feels quite consistent with it. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a tough skip. There's a pretty good sized just hole in the floor you have to cover.
Yes, it's a really difficult long jump. And yeah, I don't know if Littz runs with or without the DLC, because the DLC actually changes that skip by putting an elevator into the section which was out of bounds before and makes it inbound, so you have to change your lineup a little bit. I think it actually, once you get used to it, it actually makes the skip easier. But
yep. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I
just
know
different.
Myth likes it. Myth likes the DLC elevator there.
Yeah, it gives you a good amount of extra height for the jump. So it's an entirely different jump, but it is more easy because you with the normal jump you have to be really careful to maintain your height, otherwise you won't make it far enough. And Tech just missed the cutscene skip. That's a small time loss, but nothing major.
Yep.
Since you can see it's already over.
Yeah, the cutscene doesn't even, or skipping it actually doesn't even save that much time. It only saves like a second or two.
Yeah, a second or two at max.
Yeah.
So
this
really not bad that he messed it up.
Yep. Oh,
and
interesting. I didn't know Tech had the DLC.
Yeah, that is the DLC elevator, and as you can see, you have a good amount of extra height. So if you lose some height, you still can get the skip pretty easily. So once you know the angle, it's pretty easy with the DLC. But getting on top of that elevator, the actually clipping out of bounds is more difficult, but not by much.
Right.
So, but on Litz's side we have Beauvoir now, or Simone, how she's actually called in game. It's an amazing boss fight.
It's a great.
I love this boss. I love this boss fight.
I wish we had more time to listen to the music.
Yeah, Casually was one of my most favorite boss fights, alongside Grun. Now in the speedrun, Grun definitely fell out of there. He isn't that bad, but it's not that awesome anymore. Because, well, you know it. But this boss fight is awesome. So let's finish the first phase. Got a pretty fast one. He got the one cycle, but sadly Beauvoir got pretty far into the room, so he had to wait very long for her to go back to the stage. This is the hacking minigame, and
it's trying to hack If we
Hope
take hacking damage,
ideally
it'll affect our bonus as well.
you only get one of those sequences in an
Yes.
entire run.
Ideally, that's the only one you will ever see. In the phase coming up now, those android statues might, or they will try to hack you, and if they manage to do it and hit you,
They've been turned into weapons.
so basically those weird waves you can see there, those hack you if they hit you. And if they do hit you, you have to do such a hacking mini game, and if you finish that one, it doesn't really give you anything that benefits you. So basically you only lose the time that you spend hacking.
Yeah.
And yes, I have to agree with you, you really should use normal mode strats when running normal mode. It makes the run easier.
Yeah, some of these mobs also have really weird hitboxes. This is one of them. Not locking on makes it kind of tough to taunt, which we also did not explain. Which mashing the flashlight will make the enemies, their heads will grow red, steam will come out, and what that does for us is it increases our damage output by 2 times, and then it also increases the damage we would take by 2 times. So that on top of the 5 times damage increase from using damage glitch is quite a buff.
Yeah, that's a 7.5 times total damage.
Yeah.
Per damage glitch that is out, so with double damage glitch it's twice that much.
Yep.
So let's had some unlucky RNG attack lineup, so he had a rough ending of the fight and he did not get the self-destruct. Ideally you want to self-destruct at the end of the war fight. What self-destruct does is it creates a big explosion around you and puts you at 1 HP, and that helps with the death warp later on. And Tech actually cannot skip this cutscene. And that's bad. It's a long one.
Yeah.
That's a bunch of time lost.
At least it's not the desert one. That one is really bad.
Yeah.
Attack the bunker directly. They originally came here from outer space, right?
Well, there are a few theories about that, but no one knows for sure.
Especially the one before the Adam fight, because
Yeah.
the one at the end with Eve, that's at least somewhat interesting. The one before, it's just annoying.
Yeah.
It's it's an amazing cutscene when you play the game for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just weird and good, but we know the game and we know what happens, so stop annoying us.
Yeah, so here Littz accessed the transporter there and did a quick save. Reason being for that is this game, when you die, your respawn point will actually be your last save point. In most cases, if the save is far enough back, you can kind of spawn at a different phase in a boss fight or something. Like if you're in
sometimes
a certain
the
boss
game,
fight, you can
sometimes
spawn at just an earlier phase.
Yeah, sometimes the game has some story points where it saves, which often is at the beginning of boss fights or the end of boss fights. Like here, or the last story-based one respawn point is after the boss fight. But yeah, we save at the village, so we respawn right at the village. And that's because we're gonna do a death warp pretty soon. Also, props to boar hopping here.
Yep.
But about the death warp, so if you die in this game, you don't actually lose any progress. Well, at least in theory. And So the game respawns you at your last save point or some dedicated respawn points in the story.
Yep.
And you lose all your equipped chips and all your experience that you gained after the last save. And the stuff that you lost there is stored inside of an android corpse that is left behind at the point where you died, and you can pick it back up to regain that stuff. But at this point, since the last save is at the village and the only stuff we do is riding to the resistance camp, we don't gain any experience, so we don't care about losing that. We also have not yet equipped any chips, so we also don't care about losing our equipped chips. So dying really does nothing aside from resetting our position to the village. And one thing that we do keep when dying is items. So we have this quest where we have to deliver an item from the village to the resistance camp. That's what we're just doing. And then we get a follow-up quest to bring a different item from the resistance camp to the village. And by dying, we save us the time of actually traveling there.
They just set the coordinates, so let's get going.
On it.
Shouldn't get near that guy.
So, you remember that big guy at the end of Prologue? He's back. And actually there's 2 of him now. Even though we killed 3 of them in Prologue, there's just way too many of them. So we killed 2 more, and they're inside the city now. And the same for the fight, we're getting flight units. So Littz is now heading towards those flight units. But spoiler, we won't get to the flight units without fighting one of the 2 of them. But luckily, we don't actually have to do the fight. We can skip it. Amazing.
It'll be. I'm interested to see if Littz can get this here.
Yes. So
it's tough to learn.
There's a really fast one, but it's not easy.
Yep.
We will see if Littz gets that.
Ooh, that looked good to me, but huh.
Yeah, so he didn't get the fast one. He's trying the backup. Yeah, he tried for the backup once, didn't get that too, so decided to just fight him. So basically there's the fast strat, where you just jump out of the window onto the bridge towards the flight units and you skip the fight. That easy. But the timing is pretty tight. So if you mess that one up, you can just jump over the invisible wall that holds you inside the fight with a high jump. But that one's also, it's not too difficult, but you have to do it while fighting angles, and that makes it not very easy.
The skies are packed with anti-air weapons. Make sure to approach at low altitude.
Copy that.
Actually, a really good race. I mean, not you never hope for these runners to just spaghetti all over, but Tech was a pretty big favorite for this one, and seeing it this close is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, so Tech got the skip, so you saw that one, and that also made him catch up quite a bit, so now they're basically just
an angles kill off.
Yes, just a 1 angles kill off.
Yeah, so Angles has a weird hitbox. If he's doing this laser attack, like you see on Tech's screen, You can actually kill him just by doing a pod program, switching pods, and then doing another pod program with buffs. But basically we'll just one-shot him because every single missile will be in Angle's hitbox. It's a really nice strat for there.
Like way underground.
Guess we'll see once we get there.
Yeah, each of the pods is on a separate cooldown, so if you have 3 pods, you have 3 pod programs. Unfortunately, getting the 3rd pod is not exactly speedrun friendly, so I don't go for that one.
Dead machines. Seems like they've been here for a long time.
What is this place?
I don't know.
Yes. We're up to negotiations now. Not really a section where Tech can really catch something time up, because this is a pretty long boss fight, but it's long because it's, what a surprise, again on a dialogue timer. So we have to wait for Adam to stop talking, and we actually have to do that pretty often, and it's pretty annoying, but we still have to do it. And in this section we actually have to do it because there's no way to skip it, unlike most of the other ones. Basically, we do have a skip that we sadly cannot use in New Game A ending, which we are running in this tournament. At that point the fight would already been over since quite some time.
Yeah, so both the runners are gonna try and get a kill here. If you get rid of Eve's HP in this fight, you get a level up, and then also when it transitions and the fight's over, you get another level up. Because for some reason it'll grant the EXP twice, but not more. If somehow you manage to kill him 3 times, you only get experience for the first kill and then the actual scripted ending kill.
It's simple. We need you to locate the humans on the moon and bring them to us. We will then dissect and analyze them.
There is a skip here that we'll see Tech doing here. Since this is a timed fight, it doesn't matter too much. But we can actually jump over this invisible wall here and leave the arena. Camera's really annoying to learn this, but you are able to escape the arena. You can't go too far, as it will actually just despawn the map. It's mainly just to kill these mobs in the caves. You get a little boost in experience. You also make it so you can do dash swinging, which is a little bit faster than just dash chaining through the caves. And as Tech did there's a chest there that has 3 titanium alloys in it every time you pick it up. And what that does is makes it possible to upgrade your sword to level 3, which is about a 55% increase in damage. 2 of the drops required for that upgrade are completely based on RNG. You have to get a certain amount of severed cables and dented plates. The rest of the material is provided by just doing the run in general.
Yes. But still, it's actually being able to do that upgrade to level 3 on the sword is pretty heavily on RNG dependent, so there's a lot of runs where you just won't get the drops.
Yep.
But if you're lucky, you do get the drops, and it can save a bunch of time, since a better sword means more damage. I think that's 50% extra damage.
Yeah, it's around 50, 55, somewhere in there.
Yeah, somewhere like that, so it's pretty awesome. But it changes a lot of the clips in the game and the getting out of bounds stuff. So, and if you don't know, so you do need different strats for the level 2 sword than for the level 3 sword. And if you don't know both of them, you probably are faster if you just stay at the level 2.
Yeah. Yep, level 3. So with any of the virtuous weapons, which are the main line for the Yorha units, the main or the virtuous weapons will all gain an attack speed bonus based on how much you level them. So unfortunately, with the increase in attack speed, it actually changes the clipping power of the weapon, which we'll see if that comes into play here. It's we've seen it a couple times. I think a couple people have gotten VC3 so far in the tournament.
Yes, I did, for example.
Nice.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's very fast. It saves a lot of time. Movement, combat. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, I got it in my run, and it wasn't a bad run, but it wasn't a good run either. Then I got Virtuous Contract level 3, and because of that, I did not do Copied City Clip that we will have coming up in a bit. Oh, and Littz just failed Mom Skip. So
I think he usually just jumps into it, at least right now. I can't remember. Some of the runners, they'll just jump into the cutscene, trigger it as fast
which
as
I really
possible.
cannot understand, because there's Mom Skip, where you just transport around it, which is insanely easy and still faster than watching the cutscene.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know about in an RTA race though. It might be about the same.
yeah, okay, in RTA it might not be faster. That's correct.
And it looked like Tech actually had no dented plates, if I saw correctly, which is unfortunate. Again, RNG drops for the level 3 sword.
But he did have a bunch of crit chips.
Yeah.
So that's good, but I could not actually see which level they were.
Yeah, I didn't notice it either. I just saw criticals.
Yeah. Which, even if it's not good crit chips, one crit chip is better than no one, and that by a lot.
Yep.
So, critical attacks in this game actually do 5 times damage of a normal attack. So, if you recalculate what we had up to now, okay, Materium says 2 plus 1, crit plus 1, which should be 4% crit rate, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, the way this game works with criticals is you actually can't trigger critical attacks unless you have a critical chip equipped.
Yes, so your base crit rate is 0% basically, and then you get whatever you gain from chips.
Right.
Or weapons.
Yep.
There are some weapons that give you an additional crit bonus. But it's not worth getting one of those in the A ending run because it takes too much time to get it.
Yep.
Would be awesome though if you could run Ancient Overlord in A ending.
Iron Pipe and A. Ooh.
Iron Pipe and A. Ooh.
I think we'd lose a lot of runners if that was routed in.
Yeah. So the thing about Iron Pipe is it's a weapon that does give you a critical bonus on its own, and it's one of the small swords with the highest damage, if not the highest damage small sword. But the problem is you obtain it by fishing, and fishing is a lot of RNG.
Yeah.
So yeah. It's pretty annoying, and I always piss off the runners of the categories that do fish for it when I say that I got it second try in my normal playthrough. So.
Yeah, so there's a lot of skips in this section. This is a lot of people's favorite section. A lot of skips in a row, really cool out of bounds.
Yes.
Some of them
Littz
doesn't opt to go for. Again, he's a relatively new runner. A lot of his time save, remember. A lot of time save in the run in general is based
So-
on your combat anyway, so...
On Techt's side, you can see one of those skips that Littz didn't do, and if Techt is able to pull this off, and it looks good, yes, he managed it, now they're basically back to equal. So you can see Littz is now
pod launching into Moose.
pod launching into Moose, yeah. And yes, Techt now is ahead. Because Moose is trolling Littz. The Mooses in this thing are actually horrible. And Littz is actually going into the castle now? Looks like it.
Yeah. Yep, they put these convenient little windows out of bounds that we can just climb up and skip the entire castle.
It feels so good. So if you own the game, and if you have played the game, and if you like the game but don't know what to do because you played it a lot, try this skip. It's pretty easy and it's so much fun. And Techt apparently was only one severed cable short from getting VC3.
Oh, wow, I must have just... I must be blind. I just didn't even see any dented plates.
Yeah.
Let's go, 9S.
To be.
So
This fight is pretty tough. Fortunately, we found the resilience chip, which is great. Resilience makes it so enemies will not stagger you as long as you're above 80% HP. It's been a great addition to the run.
yes, so what it basically serves us is each time we get hit, we can, without getting staggered, immediately use a recovery item and heal all the damage that we got. So we can go back and fight on if there's nothing. So that as long as you keep your health in check, you won't be able to die at all unless something one hits you, and as long as you keep your buffs in check, that won't happen at all in the run. So
Right.
yeah,
I didn't see exactly what chips Littz has, but I did see a critical, or I believe I did.
yeah,
or a critical hit on A2 rather, so should be pretty good. And normally, after that A2 fight, well, like you see here, there's an invisible wall there that tells you, hey, you should chase A2. If you get enough height and distance, you can actually just jump over that, make it far enough down the stairs that the game thinks you're outside of the arena, so it doesn't push you back in. That skips about a 1.5 minute long dialogue. It's a huge skip. That was probably the happiest day of some of the older runners' lives when we found that.
9S, why did you ask Pascal about A2?
Huh?
It's not recommended to interface with machines without consulting command.
Yeah. Thanks, 2B.
Still, machines are the enemy. Don't forget it. Oh,
There's about, I think there's like 4 ways to clip out of the resistance camp there. Apparently if you just want to jump between those computers, then the game just says, oh, well now you're out of bounds. It's kind of a silly out of bounds.
Probably the easiest out of bounds in the entire game.
Yep. This is a PS4 thing here. Typically you can just double plunge down there, which works the same way as a double lift. If the initial dash is on solid ground, when you plunge, then you actually refresh your dash, so you actually still have a dash to use for another plunge later. But typically you would just double plunge down and void out, but because of the load times on PS4, it actually doesn't reload the respawn, the drown warp area, if you do that. So you actually have to slow down so that it doesn't keep putting you back up top.
Yeah.
So he actually does tech's been testing to see if it's faster to just not even void out at all and just do what he did there. I believe it is. It's very close, but I believe it probably saves about a second to not void out.
Yeah, not really sure about the timings. I don't do the complicated flooded city skip myself. It's really not necessary for the times, and
Yeah.
if you just jump down there and walk through the flooded city, it's way easier.
Yeah. And that's what Littz is doing here. There's a dialogue trigger back on one of those buildings. So
Yes.
basically what Littz is doing there is skipping over that dialogue trigger so that he can use that dialogue, which is a short dialogue, in order to interrupt the longer dialogue. Because the way this game works with dialogue is only one can be active, so you can interrupt one with another one.
Yes. In
It's
this
very-
case, actually, it isn't even about the length of the dialogue, because just triggering the second, you trigger the first dialogue, cancel the first one with the second one, and the second one gets cancelled by a cutscene that gets triggered by finishing the first one.
Yep,
It's amazing.
it's great. Yep. So we're in the, in my opinion, second worst. Everyone would have my head for saying that, but the second worst part in this run. It's basically a 14-minute auto-scroller.
Yeah, most of it is about 14, 15 minutes. 15, I think it is. Unless you're super good, like Marbles, then you can do it in 14. But basically,
it's pretty long. We actually have quite a bounty added up for this. If
Yes,
anyone wants to find a way to skip this in the context of the any % run, you would be a good bit richer.
Yeah, it's definitely over $1,000. I mean, we got over $1,000 alone in the first race. I don't know how much added up to that in other races, but
I believe the last I heard we were up to like around 2,200.
wow.
A lot of money.
And a pizza.
And a pizza, yes. And a
Yes.
and a fresh curry pizza
From Tech.
to buy tech and then sent to you.
Yes.
And
Wow.
Tech's on the Goliath flyer fight. This is, again, one of the biggest spots well, this whole section is one of the biggest parts where you'll see a lot of use for the double pod programs. Just being able to do 4 pod programs makes that fight infinitely faster.
If it's that big, we should be able to see it.
Yes. So, do we have a tracker for the bounty for Groomskip? Maybe we should do
don't.
something like that.
We should have amounts by who all was pitching in. I know Kanaris just right away out of the gate was saying, "Oh, I'll put 500 towards that."
Yeah. Yeah, so I was commentating that race, and Six was like, okay, before the race he was like, I'm gonna do a $50 bounty out there, and people's gonna try for that, and then he ended up, when he brought up the $50, it was like, yeah, wow, that's not like nothing. Because there was already over $1,000 from the chat when he brought it up, so I think that was kind of funny.
Yep. I mean, some of us have been running the game for a very long time, and
Yeah.
this is a very, very long segment.
Yeah, so it's 15 minutes out of 1.5 hours, or 1 hour and 40 minutes,
Go ahead.
and that is a ton.
Yep. And there's not much you can do to save time here. I mean, it's similar to like the prologue where each wave will spawn based on when the one previous spawns, but it's also tied to dialogue at the same time. So like on text stream here, you kind of see some waves he's just kind of waiting around for the next one. So you can't really save a whole lot of time on these sections. Coming up on the cores, you can save some time if you get lucky and fight them optimally, but there's not a whole lot of time saved in this section. You just kind of are stuck in about 15 minutes. So it's a pretty bad fight.
So a lot of people mentioned the experience. We can finish the game at level 18 or 17. If we don't have to do Grun, that would be worth it.
Yep. Yeah, the level won't make as much of a difference. It's not going to make 15 minutes worth of difference on combat, so it'd be fine.
Yeah.
It'd probably add like maybe 2 minutes worth on combat, but it'd be fine. Because no one wants to sit through 15 minutes of auto-scroller.
Having trouble over there?
Are you Yorha?
Hunter Squadron deploying out of North 12C Defense HQ. I'm the commanding officer, 4B. Don't worry, we'll take it from here.
This fight was definitely an experience casually.
Yes.
I loved it casually, but
Casually, it is one of the best boss fights. In a speedrun, once you have done it a couple of times, you kind of don't want to do it anymore.
Seems like a couple. Oh man, I think I'm around 150 completed runs now. Yeah, I'm kind of tired of this fight.
So yeah, so about the people who ask how someone can donate, set out a bounty of $500, one person alone, just for something like that. Canaris probably wasted somewhere between 50 and 100 hours on this boss fight. So
yeah, I mean, again though, Canaris is over 1,000 hours of play on this. And Canaris is the current world record holder for this category. Ways ahead of me. I'm nowhere close to him, despite the leaderboard saying otherwise.
yeah, I mean, well, it still says that there is a pretty decent gap.
Yeah, it's over a minute still.
And yeah, and at the level where this run is at the moment, saving a minute at that level is insane. Canaris is crazy. But I think we did not see any race from him in this tournament yet.
Yep, Group A has been super chill, and I don't think they even have any races organized yet.
So, they do.
Oh, they do. Oh, right. Yeah, they have
Blue
Medal
versus
and Minty Fresh in 2 days. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, they've been a very, very chill group. They're just kind of.
It's not in 2 days. It's tomorrow.
Is it tomorrow? Oh,
yes.
It is tomorrow. Oh, right.
It's less than 24 hours. So that race starts.
I've lost track of time. We're in Grun. What is time anymore?
Yes. So yeah, but Group 1 really is kind of slacking in their organization. Well, but on the other hand, we have other groups that are not that far into doing big, organizing their matches themselves.
That's my group. We've had one match so far. We've got one match today.
Yes,
about
you've
2
got
hours after this one, but
one match and one organized. There's Group E with only 2 organized matches, and that's it. And MT's group had only 1 match with him against Relics, so non-organized. So yeah, some people are better at organizing than others.
Yeah, it's interesting to see because I know like Fullest group, they're basically done already.
Yes, they're done. They organize everything. Our group has 1 person that's did nothing till now.
Yeah. Yeah, we had to kind of plan for the group stages to run a little long.
Yeah.
Part of that was because we've had a lot of online we had a marathon that just passed, which one of our runners, Mash, who's in our group, or in my group, he was gone for a week out of town to do a speedrunning marathon. And then we also have SGDQ in this time frame as well, so we had to kind of account for people who are going to be gone for a week.
Yeah, that actually is a problem in our group, because we have with 1 person in the group that's gone for a week from now, I guess, or 1.5 weeks from now. So like he is gone for the first 2 weeks, and once he comes back, there's SGDQ where I and probably a couple of others are gone too, so I will raise him at the beginning of July. Because that's the earliest we could do so. Yeah, we busy people. We do not do speedruns full time, sadly.
It's like Tech's having a little bit of issues. Too much typing in chat instead of doing his run.
Yeah.
Over here with the casual, like 3 or 4 cycle core. Fortunately, we've got 1 runner out of the resident sleeper here.
Yeah, that's good. Also, we finally have something to commentate about again.
Yeah, we don't have to talk about other stuff.
Yeah,
talk about relevant information.
Yes, that's good. So, about relevant information, we're out of Grun finally with Tech. So we now have copied City next.
2B, are you all right?
Running system diagnostics.
Oh,
Core functionality appears
Tech's still going back for the swaggy version of the skim.
The other one is way cooler. There's a way cooler one where you land on the building but still drown. That's the best one. And I will always go for that, even if it's slow. Because it looks amazing. 2B is landing on the building, walking up the slope, and drowning. Looks so awesome.
So that section there, that was kind of the same deal when we were entering this area. Kind of making use of the separate drown areas to move, to respawn to a farther location. The skip that's coming up here is not the hardest skip, but it is definitely the most precise. There's a very
one of the
precise
hardest.
angle.
It's one of the hardest.
Yeah. Like, execution-wise, it's just holding a heavy attack. But the angle is very, very strict. And here we'll see the PS4 load times here.
Yeah. So basically that elevator on PC, usually it's there once you get down there. If you're unlucky, it takes like
maybe like
a fraction of a second
or two,
to load in. Tech had to wait quite a bit for that to spawn. So yeah, we're in the Copic City now, which is another boss fight, and it's our best friend again. It's Adam, and he's gonna talk a lot. What a surprise! Adam talking a lot. So, but this time we say no to Adam and we skip dialogue, hopefully.
Life forms, I suppose,
So
have a keen interest in humanity,
Yep.
love,
So here, basically,
religion.
you just clip out of bounds, and
The more human
we have
records
a
I unearth,
dialogue
the
from
more
the
charmed I am by their complexity.
from the elevator here
Areas I created
that
out of the desire
will
to
interrupt
understand,
Adam's dialogue.
to know
So
humans,
again,
its grand
using a
magic,
short dialogue to cancel a
almost
longer one.
spiritual.
Ideally, you get here
Currently
before the
nothing
warning
more than
sign,
an
and
android
Tech was able to do
graveyard.
so.
I seek to learn and adopt all facets
This
of
text is
humanity.
split into multiple
Some desire
chunks,
love, others
so we're
family.
waiting for Adam to say only then in order to
Only
cancel
then.
it.
Proposal. Prioritize search for 9S.
yeah,
It looks like
I
he's
know.
going for the
Let's
swag
end.
here. Just becoming a box. Oh, can't skip.
can't skip
Uh-oh.
again.
Thus I
That's
decide.
bad.
Oh, just nope.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, Littz actually got the clip
Let
out
us
here.
embrace death.
I don't think he usually goes for this.
Yeah, but void it out.
Yeah. There we go.
I don't have
Well
And
done.
I know
that's good. And that was
Well
still
done.
pretty fast, I think.
Yeah, that was
It-
pretty good.
Even with
I
failing
know
it
he
once, he
usually
didn't waste too many attempts, so
Yeah.
not sure if
Yeah,
he
he doesn't
saved
usually
time
do
with
that.
that, but he definitely didn't lose much, and it feels amazing, so good job there, Littz. Good job.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what happens with Litz's time as he starts adding more and more skips to his run. The times that he's been getting with little to no skips are kind of crazy, and it's very
Yes.
interesting to think about how much quicker his time could be if he starts implementing more skips.
So yeah, we will see Littz rising in the leaderboards pretty
Yeah,
fast, and
looks like he's going for this too. That's good.
uh,
There's a
yeah.
dialogue skip there from Tech. There's a spot where there's a trigger that you'll get a call from the commander. It's a very long dialogue.
Analyze current trends in
Um,
machines.
By interacting with the lady by the computer there in a similar fashion to the way you can interact with 9S, where it brings up a dialogue box. Using that same method, you can jump over the trigger while the dialogue box is open, and it will actually just, you'll never trigger the dialogue because there's a different active dialogue. Being able to do that allows us to read the mandatory mail at the resistance camp immediately, as opposed to running all the way to this transporter that's right on the left side here of Tech
No kidding.
to read it, which the reason that saves time is Pascal will only call you after you've read the mail.
I believe they're working on building a colony of their own.
That's a pretty good time save.
Apparently it's
to
located
get that
in the
dialogue
abandoned
skip.
factory. I can give you the coordinates if you'd like.
Please.
I was actually planning to go
So
to the
Littz got a pretty
Maybe
slow
we can
Adam
step over there?
mansplaining. So, but the thing with mansplaining skip is attempting it does not lose any time. So if you don't try the skip, you just wait. Have to wait for him to stop talking. So if you try the skip and fail it,
Even you?
you still finish the first phase of the fight in the same amount of time that it would have taken if you hadn't tried at all. So it never hurts to try.
It certainly
And
does.
if you do get it, it does save a little time. The earlier you get it, the more time you save, but it's still worth trying even if you're not good at it.
This is, again, another one of the one sections a lot of us would love to see go quicker. Tech is in the
Waiting for
deep
that
factory
robot.
now, and that priest there is very slow. It almost takes him a minute to get to that elevator, which we need to ride upwards, and if he doesn't get there, then you're just kind of waiting around. We've tried a lot of things, just cannot seem to get him to move quicker than he does already. And this is probably one of the other very dense areas for Out of Bounds. It's all kind of part of the same skip, but it's a very long skip.
Yes.
Skips in conjunction basically make it so we fight nothing except for the boss. Everything else.
We do nothing except if you do if you are able to pull off the whole skip, you do nothing but out of bounds movement and clipping and boss fight.
Oh.
But doing the entire skip is really difficult.
Yes,
because yeah,
I'm still not comfortable with my consistency on it, to be honest. I still mess it up from time to time.
Yeah, and I don't get the full version at all. I think I pulled it off once. So...
Oh. Looks like Tech didn't get this one.
Yes.
This one's not mandatory for the full skip. You can void out there. There is an out of bounds. Voiding out will despawn a lot of the enemies in this room. At that point, because this fight's based on how many of these robots you kill, if you void out and despawn them, you'll immediately trigger the elevator. I'm actually surprised he's still going for this instead of just killing them at this point.
Yeah, at this point it wouldn't be worth trying, really. And especially since this is one of the skips where doing it saves a little bit of time, but it loses a lot of experience. And if you did not have a very good run before, then it might actually get pretty difficult to reach level 20 before the end of the run.
Yep.
And yeah, we can, without problems, finish the run without reaching level 20. But it's way easier and faster with getting the level up.
So what Tech's trying to do here is he's trying to void out yet again. After that, after 9S talks to you in the robot form there, he'll disappear and the elevator will lock. By voiding out, you tell the game, basically you push a reset button on the locking trigger. The elevator will reopen for you, allowing you to ride it back upwards to the room we were just in, which is, I believe it's the actual highest point in the entire factory segment. If not, it's very high up.
Yes, it's the highest point in Deep Factory.
So, and this.
So I think the
us,
entrance is even higher.
Maybe, yeah.
I think you go down to this room from the entrance, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, so basically, oh, he didn't get it. So basically, the thing is down there. There's a necessary story trigger.
Yep. Looks like he didn't get it here.
And this time he missed it. So basically, what you optimally want to do is you want to plunge down there, hit the story trigger, but void out before hitting the ground, which is insanely precise and basically makes that you reach the story trigger down there, but still get respawned up on the top room, where you can plunge into a different direction to the end of the factory. Yep. So now he needs to go walk that thing, that section. It's not very long or difficult, but it has these crushes. And Crushers are scary because Crushers one hit you no matter what. So if you get hit, you're dead.
Yep.
And yeah, those things are very scary.
I've had it land on my toe and died from it. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, hitboxes can also be really weird on those, so you really want to have them saved.
Yeah, normally it's pretty much just from that top room you're plunging, grabbing one trigger, and then plunging right down to the end of the factory. It looks really cool when done. It's not easy to learn by any means.
Yeah.
It looks like Littz is going the normal route through the factory.
Yes.
I know he's been practicing it before. I know I've seen him practicing factory. I guess he just doesn't feel consistent with it yet.
Yes.
Which
I can totally understand. It is a really difficult skill.
Yes, and it has the potential to soft lock, which this game has a lot of those. So.
Yes, the last part, which we didn't see from Tech, has the potential to soft lock.
I've been keeping an eye on you. I'm gonna shut off power to the factory now.
Do it.
I never got it, but that's probably because I barely ever got to the last part at all. So, yeah.
Littz is a madman, doing crushers without slow-mo. What a madman.
And even doing 4 of them without slow-mo.
Yeah.
I mean, you can basically do them in 2 sets of 3 without slow-mo. Well, okay, that was the first set, so there the belt actually supports you. So you can do it 4 of them.
Oh, looks like Tech got one of the scariest and most rare attacks here from Soshi. He can send out these little robots that explode. They're just suicide bots.
And you don't see them.
Yeah.
You don't really see them. They are horrible.
If he had if Tech had died here, that would have been just an end of a run, basically.
Yes, that would have put Littz bad in the... Oh, and Littz got crashed.
Oh no!
That's horrible. Ooh.
Yeah, that should put him back, I believe, at the last trigger part of the factory.
It puts them back.
Beginning, maybe? I don't remember.
I think at the... We will see.
Ooh.
No, so... This was really close.
Okay, so the last trigger. Okay,
so,
that's not too bad.
Oh yeah, at the shop. I think, yeah, that one is... I think that's, yeah, that's the beginning of the factory.
Mm.
That's horrible.
Oof.
Also, there is a shortcut elevator. But I doubt he picked that one up because you don't do that.
Yep. This run has been an experience. This race has been an experience, though. It's been surprisingly close. A lot more.
It was really close for most of the time. At that point, it was basically just the Soshi boss fight between them.
Yep.
This death puts, I think, another 1 to 2 minutes between them.
Yep.
Which is a lot, but their Tech now has a boss rush in front of him, and especially in the final boss, it's not difficult to accidentally die, which loses you a bunch of time. So if Tech does mess up and die, then Littz might still have a chance. So, but that death to the Crushers is was really bad.
Yeah, the other thing to note regarding the deaths is I don't believe Tech is using the defense buffs. I didn't see for sure, but I don't believe he is.
Oh.
In which case, pretty much everything in this last boss rush will two-shot you. So
Yes, and the final boss actually can one-shot him if he doesn't use buffs.
yeah, yeah, it's a risk that a good amount of the runners will take.
As long
A
as
lot
he's
of them
not.
have opted to do
Yeah.
defense buffs, at least for this tournament. It's a lot safer to go with defense buffs.
Yes.
I personally
Def-
always use them.
Defense buffs make it a lot easier, but slower because you have to do an additional purchases to get them and additional menuing to use them.
Yeah.
But they make the fights a lot easier.
Yeah.
But at least Tech is not as much as a madman as Ethereum, who plays Taunt +3, which raises the Taunt bonus damage from 50% to 280%, which makes every enemy deal 3.8 times the damage they usually do. And he doesn't use any defense buffs. So, yeah. And he actually died to that in the final in the final boss in his race yesterday.
Yep. It was just some typical combat. Just gotta kill these mobs in order to progress the story here. Resistance camp is pretty lit right now. It's on fire. People are dying. Robots are eating people. You know, normal stuff. Normal day in the life. Normal day in the life of Yoku
Are they eating people though? I mean, it's androids.
Are they? I don't even know.
Are androids people?
Too philosophical for me.
Yeah. Let's not talk about that now. Littz is on Soshi now. Tech, on the other hand, is on Bokushi, the, I guess, bigger brother of Soshi.
Yep, the more electrifying one of the two.
The more electrifying one. Also, he got guns.
Yeah, that fight can be pretty scary. Without defense buffs, that's pretty tough. Oh, he does have defense buffs. Oh, interesting. So he just wasn't using them, that part I saw.
Yes. Yeah, I also I still do buy them and use them in boss fights, but I stopped using them in some of the easier fights, like the commercial center, for example, because those robots don't really do any damage. But for these boss fights at the end, it's really nice to have them.
Yeah.
So yeah, here for example on Core, he used them on Bokushi, but not on Core 1.
Uh-oh. Ooh. Critical HP.
Yeah, maybe he should have used one. But yeah, he killed Core 1, which leaves 2 boss fights left for Tech to finish the game.
They're still coming? What do we do?
And
There's too many.
Tech is probably about, oh gosh, looking at Litz's timer, which is on load list, so
Come in, Pascal.
Tech's probably about 4 or 5 minutes behind PV now. Littz, I'm not sure what his normal split time is for or PV split time is for factory, but just going off how long the boss rush takes, there's probably not much of a chance of PV in this one. It happens. I mean, it's been a crazy tournament with the PVs. We've had at least 7 at this point. 2 of them by the same runner.
Let's take these guys out first.
So Littz is now almost out of factory, starting his own boss rush. Tech, on the other hand, almost finished the 3rd of the bosses and moving on to the final boss.
Very nice. Tech was able to get the 0 cycle there on that fight as well.
And Littz left the factory at 1:39:20 in RTA.
It's gotta be.
If we destroy this
So
will it
we're
stop?
almost at 1:40 now.
Pod, I need you to locate Eve's current position.
So Tech is over 5 minutes behind us,
We'll
Pibby,
take care of Eve.
at this
You just
point.
worry about keeping the village safe, okay?
Do be careful.
Everything must die!
This is an angry boy. Oh no. The first attack is scripted. It's a long attack. Don't want to get hit by them. This is the angry boy. He has there's one major thing in this phase where after a certain threshold he can choose an attack called platforms, which he's trying. Ooh. When he puts his arms up like that, he's building platforms, and he can jump up top, and you can lose a lot of time on it.
Yeah, so basically
really
you have to
tough.
climb up all those platforms without being able to damage him, then hit him. Usually in the speedrun it's like hit him once and he goes down again.
Yeah.
Because you're already hit him that low, but he managed to skip that attack, so that's good.
Right.
And right now he's doing phase 2 skip. So Eve is healing himself, but he is dealing more damage than Eve is healing, and that's pretty difficult, but it is possible.
It looks like Tech's going for pod launch here. A little bit of wind-up time on it. There's a lot of ways to do this fight. The pod launch, the thing that is good about the pod launch is it actually will stagger the boss, which allows you to completely interrupt certain attacks. It's really nice for that. Also, if he strays too far away from you, you can close distance quickly. There's a lot of other strats. One, you just follow him around and do high jumps and deal damage that way. Or you can also just opt to use the skill salves, which neither runner, I believe, bought skill. Yeah, neither of them do skill salves. Skill salves, and basically you're just using pod programs over and over to kill him.
Yes, skill sets are half your cooldown of your pod programs, so...
And Tech is in the last phase here. Everything except for movement and pod fire and lock on and taunt. But all of your close combat and evading is disabled. So you just kind of have to follow him around and hope he doesn't stray too far.
I must have been corrupted when Eve detached.
So Tech is almost finished.
No.
It's okay. I can always reload my backup data from the bunker.
But you'll lose you. The you that exists at this very moment.
Guess so. But we can't upload this corrupted data to the bunker. So...
9S.
Oh, right. So for Tech, that's actually the loadless timer.
Yeah, Tech, that's
So,
loadless.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, but that was the loadless timer.
That's something about
So that was more like a
of a-
142.
142, 143. But still, congratulations on winning this race.
Yeah, other than that, the desert slip up, pretty solid run. The falling in that pit is really rough. Hey, buddy.
So,
How's it
high
going?
tech.
Hey guys.
Decent race.
Overall, I think that run was pretty good, minus the Atom pit there.
I don't know, man.
That was pretty bad.
A lot of spaghetti. I really regret not warming up beforehand. My prologue felt pretty bad, and just, yeah, that Adam pit kind of summed it up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that prologue was actually pretty close until Silo 2. Then you started pulling ahead at that point, but it was really.
But even
it
until
was
Silo,
close.
and even until Silo 3, that was a close race.
Yeah,
I mean, at the start of Silo 3, you were only a couple of seconds ahead. Littz did mess that one up a bit, so he was more behind after that. But, well, then Adam Pit happened, so...
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think we all learned that if you want to beat me, just get me in that pit. I do not know how to get out.
Yeah. Well, you actually still won the race, so...
Well, yeah, I guess.
But... Yeah, that pit lost you a lot of time, so... How did you feel when you fell down there? What were your thoughts?
Pretty bad. I was genuinely thinking of just starting the entire run again. I was like, should I just reset? But yeah, I stuck with it and eventually worked out a way out. So
yeah, the problem for you is you didn't save at Desert Camp, right?
Yeah, no, I didn't. I missed that save point entirely to save like another couple of seconds on top of skipping the second part of Save Scum.
Yep.
So the problem is if you would have to restart the entire game, right?
Yeah,
because
that's
you didn't
right,
have
yeah,
a single save in the game in the run yet.
Definitely considering it. It's not so bad. Usually I'd be able to just you know, teleport back to the start of that desert section. It's not really that much of a time loss, maybe like 5 minutes tops. So
yeah, if you saved at Desert Camp, it's like 5 or something between 5 and 10 minutes, but more to the 5 if you have decent execution on both attempts. But like in this race, it would have been 30 minutes time loss.
yeah. Well, luckily I didn't have to, so everyone's a winner, kind of.
Yeah. So
I mean, it made for good commentary.
yeah.
Yeah. It was a very interesting run. It's not one that I'd usually finish, but obviously in this kind of a setting we have to. So very interesting.
So yeah. And also a good thing that you did not give up and tried that, because if I got stuck down there, I have no idea how to escape. I have no idea how that escape works. I know it's a lot of difficult jumps and I have no idea where they are. So I would have to reset and go back to Desert Camp at that point.
My advice would be don't watch back this VOD because I did not do it.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Littz is about to finish here. I'm not. I think he's PB'd since the one that's on our spreadsheet.
Yes.
Yeah, like I think he has like a 143 or something. So this might not actually be a PB.
No. Even the one on speedrun.com is a different one. It's a faster one. So yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna head out with voice anyway, so thanks you guys for commentating, and thanks to everyone in chat who was watching.
Yes, thank you for running, and good time.
Yep. Now we have Littz. Hey, buddy.
So Littz, good run.
Yeah.
I was surprised you did well on the Coffee City skip.
Yeah,
I don't think
that's
you
been
usually
something
do
I've
that.
it's been something I've been working off, like off stream and everything, and I decided to go for it today since I was a little behind.
Yeah. I mean, it was, other than the first void out, it was pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm
It
starting
was
to see
pretty decent execution, so congratulations on that.
Yeah.
You're getting there. And I really need to do more runs because you will kick my ass if I don't. You're way better than me. You're way, like, seriously, you're a better runner than me. The only reason why I am ahead of you is because I do all the skips. You don't.
Yeah.
But once you do all of them, I have to run very fast to keep up. So,
I was really surprised by my prologue time today.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
you were actually on par with Tech for a good bit of that prologue section.
Prologue, like until up to Silo 3, you were like within seconds of each other.
Wow.
He had a cleaner set of 3 than you had. So,
that's fair.
and that's where he got a bit of ahead, and then he got way more ahead, and then he got stuck in Adam Pit, and you took the lead.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, you were actually in the lead for a bit. He did the housing skip and he missed the first trigger, so he fell in the pit and had to do the full recovery.
Wow.
And he had no idea how to do it.
Yes,
so he lost
he
like
did not
5 minutes to it.
Yeah,
Wow.
but the problem is if he hadn't gotten the recovery, he would have had to start the entire run over
Yep.
Yikes.
because he did not have any saves in the race
Yikes.
because he skipped save scum and the desert camp transporter, which is horrible. So for the people in chat, this is a 148 RTA.
It was a 146 loadless.
146 loadless. Yeah, the loadless timer is the one that's on stream right now. So a lot of people getting that confused right now because it is confusing
It is, yeah.
and it's not optimal. But that's the way it is right now. So 148.28. So about 5 minutes slower than Tech was.
Even with the Crusher's death, I still finished 2.5 minutes behind PB.
It's not bad at all.
That's
Yes.
actually pretty close, considering.
Yes, I mean the Crush's death probably was 1.5 minutes, I think it is.
I think it was like 2 minutes lost for me today.
Yeah, I'm not
Well,
sure, right?
It's a good thing those crushers didn't
Yeah,
crush
so
your spheres.
Yeah, it was. I was ahead by almost a minute up until I think Forest. Yeah,
Yeah.
until about Forest. The moose started to not cooperate.
Yeah. Oh yeah, those moves, they were horrible. So yeah, I really, they sometimes troll me, but not that hard, and I really felt with you there.
Yeah,
So
I decided
that
to
was
ditch it.
that was another point where Tech could win a bunch of time, because I mean up to that point where you failed the clip because of the moose, you were ahead.
Really?
Yes, thanks to the Adam Pit. So
Wow.
up to that point, you were actually still ahead, but then he did first try Rainbow Road and then yeah, he didn't get trolled by the moose, so he got out of bounds, did castle skip, and that put him a good amount ahead of you.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that moose trying to troll me, I was like, well, here goes the run to the crapper.
Yeah, I hate those moves.
Yeah. Yeah, still solid race. I guess
Yeah,
we
thanks
should.
for-
I think there's actually a run coming up here for something on
Yes, so
in between or before my own run.
yeah.
So we should probably try and get out of here.
Yeah, thanks
Yeah,
for
so
commentating, by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if
no problem.
Marbles, if you don't have anything to ask left, then I would like to thank our racers for racing and participating in this tournament. It was really fun to watch, and it was a really interesting race. And yeah, thanks Marbles to you for commentating this with me.
Yeah, no problem.
And then I would like to thank Canaris and all the other people who organized this tournament. It's been a lot of fun. And also thanks to Speed Gaming for restreaming this on their channels. Yeah.
Yep, that covers everything.
Yes.
Yeah, there should be something. I didn't see what game was coming up. But there should be a game coming up here on this channel, and then after
Yes,
that
they-
run, in about 2 hours, I've got my own race versus Dan Flesh coming up. So
Pretty exactly 2
Should be
hours
fun.
from now. So come back to that one if you liked it.
yep. See you guys in the next one.